And now, a thought from man. I'm honestly kind of confused by Adult Swim's new show BallMastrz 9009. For one thing, it's such a random numbered year. Why not just 9,000? But that's neither here nor there. It's such an odd and strange show, but a part of me actually gets invested in it. It feels like my brain is tripping on acid that was laced with cocaine that was then eaten by ecstasy and then regurgitated into shrooms and then devoured by crank. That's how crazy this whole thing is. But I kinda enjoy it for that craziness. Oh god, has Adult Swim shows finally gotten me to a point that I'm going with their insanity? Am I just succumbing to the madness? I might need to check into a psycho ward after this. The show is created by Christy Caracas, who also created Super Jail, which kinda explains a lot of the crazy insanity that goes on in this show. The main premise is about this post-apocalyptic world where everyone plays this game called The Game. It's meant to be a replacement of sports back in the old days because the supreme ruler got tired of all the rules and oversaturation of them. It's a very strange premise, but the weird post-apocalyptic world actually kind of works to their advantage. They get away with a lot of crazy extreme stuff because everything's pretty much destroyed. So it manages to have a nice creative edge because everything's pretty much gone to hell and back, and it's just so crazy and weird that they just can have these over-the-top expressions and reactions to things going on. It's kind of the better of Adult Swim's crazy shows. It manages to be weird and over-the-top, but it manages to have an explanation for some of that over-the-topness. And it tends not to go too far with itself. Bingo! The main characters are this team called the Leptons, who are notorious for being the worst team in the league since they haven't won a game yet. They're a complete mismatch of different odd and just out there characters. They literally have a character who's just a pack of abs with some weird spike thing for a head that can somehow talk. It's like, what the fuck is this entire crew? Mainly just, what the fuck is this guy? You can see everybody else, but he's the only one that just feels so odd and strange. Hell, they even have a talking ball as a teammate, but even then that seems sane considering the fact that they have a talking chest. It's just so weird and crazy, but at the same time, it's like, I kind of see it working for this show. I don't know why, I don't know how, it just kind of works.
Stranded in the wasteland and cornered by an unrelenting horde of ferocious surgical beasts of prey! I saved myself by perfecting the ultimate counterattack to mindless aggression from lower life forms! Behold,
They end up gaining the help of this character named Gaz, who was the top player at the time and almost got kicked out of the game because she went on a bender and now has to build herself from the ground up by helping the team win a game. She's a very crazy character, but at the same time you kinda see what her thing is. She's looking for something more to what her life is. And you do kind of sympathize with that, but at the same time, it's like you kind of bit yourself in the ass by acting like such an asshole and partying too hard. You kind of just think you reap what you sow at the same time. It's like you kind of ask for this. She is very mean-spirited, especially to the kid of the Leptons. It's just kind of funny how she acts, though. You do find yourself kind of invested in her redemption arc. So she does manage to be interesting enough.
Hey, screw you, a-hole!
Then there's the Supreme Ruler, Krazar, who's just one very weird looking dude. He pretty much invented the game out of basic boredom, sort of, and he enjoys watching over it a lot of the time. It's sort of weird how he works. He doesn't seem like someone who rules with an iron fist, but at the same time you feel uneasy by him. Like, you don't really know what he's thinking or what he's planning. You just know something feels off. He basically is a god who can create and do whatever he wants, but he pretty much decides to limit himself. Like Gaz getting kicked out of the game. He could just bring her right back in and have her be the top player instantly in the snap of his own fingers, but he chooses not to because his thing is like, hey, I don't want things to be so simple and easy. I'd rather there be some challenges. And you're just thinking, that sounds right, but at the same time, it feels kind of off. It's like, what is your plan? You do have my curiosity. That is just something I kind of find interesting about this. It can pique my curiosity to see what is the end goal here. What are they planning to do here? That's just something I find truly fascinating about this.
Look, I know I messed messed up. I'll get my shit together if you put me back in the game.
Oh, I'm putting you back in, but you're going to have to earn it.
Always with the drama. You created the game. You can do whatever you want. Cut me some slack.
And where's the fun in that? After thousands of years as the supreme ruler, I've learned it can get dull at the top. I have to keep things spicy. I'm sure you can relate. Sure, I could just snap my fingers and fix a lot of things. But that isn't why I created the game. I created the game to save humanity from itself by inspiring people to rise to their full potential.
The game itself is played by using the ball to kill your opponents and to score. From what I can tell, if all players on a team are killed and the other team scores, they win. Death in the game is not really a permanent thing since the teams that lose get to come back and keep playing. Most of the time, the game is just spent killing each other just for fun and the entertainment of the audience, which honestly, it's kind of like, yeah, that's kind of how we do it nowadays, except for, the killing thing. I mean, it's kind of basically watching football, but with no regard for the players' lives. Now that I think about it, that's kind of like it is now. Do I spy political commentary? Nah, it's probably just some pure coincidence. Or is it? Nah. Or maybe. Nah.
Okay, shut up now.
The show thrives on being surreal. A lot of stuff that happens feels almost like a fever dream. Like you're straight up on a total mind trip, and it makes it kind of interesting. I mean, you feel like you're on some major drugs, definitely. But they feel like the good drugs, the type of drugs the DARE program told you were really bad and gonna ruin your life, but ultimately weren't as bad as they made them out to be. They feel like those, and I think every once in a while we can indulge in that. It feels more like something you definitely should experience firsthand. It can be violent, but it's surprisingly tame. It gets over the top with character reactions to things for the most part.
Ow!
Only I can yell at my sweeties!
I said for the most part. A lot of the time, it's mostly about the characters being crazy and weird and just over the top, yelling and shouting and just kind of being mean-spirited towards each other. That's mostly what you get out of this series. Just all around crazy, wacky people just being crazy and wacky to each other and just sometimes hurting each other for the most part. But they're kind of people who kind of deserve to hurt each other because they're such assholes. So you ultimately don't feel too bad about the mean-spiritedness of the show, because at the same time, it's like these people kind of deserve each other. That's just what it is, and I think I can get behind that.
I'll pretend that wasn't hot and move on.
The animation is pretty weird, but it kind of works for it. It's in this sketchy style, but with choppy animation that's reminiscent of old Tatsunoko animes like Speed Racer. And honestly, it feels like it takes some inspiration from Studio Trigger or Studio Gainax with the way they animate the characters and how they are so over the top with some of the sketchy stylings. It definitely takes inspiration with some of the designs of the characters, because a lot of the characters do sort of feel reminiscent of anime characters. It's cheap in its movements, but it makes up for it in the design. The backgrounds and characters are just nice to look at, which is better than most other filler Adult Swim shows. The show also tends to move at breakneck speeds. It's definitely something where if you blink, you're gonna miss something important. It's mainly an 11-minute marking for most episodes, so a lot of the time they're doing a lot of stuff. And at the same time, it just very much works for it. You get these crazy smooth movements whenever they have big action going on, and it's just so pretty to look at. And the backgrounds are just gorgeous, honestly. It's like, holy crap, it feels like Mad Max meets the 80s neon style. That's just something I kinda enjoy about this. It's just very pretty to look at. That sketchy style is just something to die for. And in the characters' cases, that's literally.
Grab your balls!
This is honestly a nice show, but only if you enjoy surrealism. It has a very niche quality to it. It's something for those who enjoy crazy, over-the-top, just sort of nonsensical stuff. It's definitely for those who just enjoy acid trips. Like, if you enjoy a good acid trip, this definitely is for you. It's over the top and just downright insanity, with some logic in it that keeps you invested enough in what happens. The animation is cheap for the character's small movement, but makes up for it by going all out with stylized stunts and backgrounds. It feels like a mashup of 80s neon and Mad Max, which I am just fine with. But that's just a thought.